where one of my partners was shot at twice. Yeah, she showed up and she was looking for a stolen vehicle. And as she pulled up, the guys look back and see her. And the dude literally takes a shooting stance and fires 2 rounds at her car as she pulls up, striking the vehicle. Luckily, she wasn't hit. And that partner of mine, she has a family, she has a husband, she has kids. I'm going to be on patrol in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. That could easily happen to me. And so, you know, the people that think that, you know, we need to defund the police, we need to get rid of policing, like there is a criminal element that exists that you are just so oblivious to, and you'll be oblivious to it until it affects you.
This episode of the It's Needed podcast is brought to you in part by Thinline Anthem. Thinline Anthem is a supplement company created by first responders for first responders, and they are now offering our listeners 25% off. Let me say that one more time. 25% off your entire order. All you have to do is enter the promo code It's Needed, all capital letters, no spaces, during checkout, and they'll give you 25% off. Enjoy the episode.
Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Bears United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo.
Billy, you were supposed to press the button right there.
That was.
I'll warn you if I get a button. All right?
that was you.
You can see.
Waiting for
you can see Billy starting to get irritated. He's like, "Look,
stop bringing up the button, AJ. All right, like, we ain't got one."
He's like, "Look, I will warn you next time we get a button."
My bad, Billy. I don't want no problems.
I can sense all the frustration in Billy's voice, bro. We are joined today by the Savage himself. What's going on, Billy?
Hey, I finally finished the Michael Jordan documentary yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah,
what prompted that? The win of the Lakers, who won the championship?
Well, it just took us forever to finish it. It just took us forever, but I really enjoyed it. I'm not even a huge sports guy, but you can always appreciate someone who just I guess rocks at life and puts a lot of work into it. You know?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, you got to. Did you guys see the Lakers won the championship?
No,
I did.
I was driving back from LA and there's fireworks everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it was going off. It was going off out here. But here's the thing, though, is I don't even know how I feel about this championship. Like don't get me wrong. I'm a Laker fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Laker fan. I just don't know how I feel about this championship. One, you had no fans. Two, it was like we stopped the season midway. Then they figured out this little way to figure out how we're going to pick up the NBA season, which I did. And I'm not going to lie, like I didn't really watch. This was the first year I didn't really watch that much basketball, especially in the postseason. But I heard the basketball that they were playing in the bubble was like some of the best basketball they had seen in a while. So I don't know if that was because there was no distractions or what, but it just didn't feel right, bro. It didn't feel right.
I know. And the same thing with the football season. There's going to be an asterisk beside it. So, they got it. They wanted. They deserved it. But I'll say this. Just as much as that's LA's championship, it's Ohio's too. I'm just throwing that out there for you.
Oh,
right?
here we
go. Throwing that out there for you.
Man, don't get me started on LeBron, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I was a big fan of LeBron until my man just started. And it's not even because, like I said this before on prior podcasts, like I don't even mind people getting into the social issues, but you can't be the one saying like, hey, you know what, take a step in our shoes as a ball player. Until you can do that, then don't say nothing. And then on the flip side, start saying all this crap about police officers and you've never taken a step in our shoes. So
Exactly. I had an interesting conversation with a really good friend of mine this weekend, and that just reminded me of the conversation. Keep in mind, this is somebody I like look up to. We have a lot of opposing views, but he's like a brother to me. Like he's legitimately like a big brother to me. He has his views on police, which do not align with mine. But, anyway, we were talking and we have amazing dialogues when we talk about like police, racism, all sorts of other stuff. But, it got me thinking, and the conversation was this. If you're walking down the street, all right.
In my 6'4".
Cruising down the street in my 6'4". Billy, can you finish that? Don't finish that. All right. Anyway, say you're walking down the street, right? And there's a lady with a pit bull walking down the street as well, right? Both on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
The pit bull reaches out and bites your leg. Who are you going to be mad at?
The lady that's walking down the street with the pit bull.
The lady that's walking down the street with the pit bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that we live in a world where everything is the police this, the police that? your attention is focused on the wrong people, right?
I know.
Like we have mayors, we have city council members, we have chiefs of police who get in front of cameras and say, the police need to change and the police this, the police that. Well, ultimately, it's your fault, right? Like that would be me coaching an NBA team saying, well, my NBA team sucks. Like, well, you the coach. Coach them, right? Like if you're in charge of the city, if you're in charge of the county, if you're in charge of the police department, then it ultimately falls on you.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think we live in a world where it's so much easier to make the police the scapegoat. And they go, well, it's the police's fault. And then you see signs, defund the police, defund the police. When ultimately the system is broken, right? Like we need to be talking about the judges who sit on somebody, right? Like we need to be talking about the chiefs of police.
Well, what I was going to say, what's funny about that is like, so anytime I get in an argument with somebody and we're going back and forth, one of the things I always tell somebody, and it usually kind of stops the argument or at least makes them take a second and think, okay, well, what do you suggest we do? So all these people that say defund the police, okay, no problem. What do you suggest we do to fix it? So everybody wants to say, well, and then, we should. No. What? Like, give me a legitimate thing. If you can give me a legitimate answer to fix the problem, let's talk about it. But the thing is nobody can give you a legitimate answer. And that kind of just proves the point that is they just use law enforcement as a scapegoat because it sounds good to say, hey, it's all the police's fault, which if you tell me, if you said, hey, Ryan, give me an answer, okay, the answer is stop committing crimes. Stop going out there and doing stuff that causes a police response. I'm not saying, like I've said before, I'm not here to say that there's not some bad police officers that shouldn't be officers. Absolutely there are. We know they are. We know that there can be better police officers out there. But my point is that stop putting it all on the police, because why can't we address the person that was out there doing something he shouldn't have been doing in the first place? Nobody wants to point that out. Nobody wants to point that out. Everybody just looks that over like, oh, you know what? Well, I didn't realize he was committing a crime. No, like, let's look at that first. And then we could talk about the police response to what he did, as opposed to let's look at the police response first, and then we forget about that there was even a crime that was ever even committed.
The word accountability means nothing today, unless you're a police officer. Unless you're a police officer. And I'm not even going to say I hate to say that, because that's the reality of the situation we're in right now, right? Like, if you're a police officer, you could do your job right now and you're going to be criticized. You could do your job flawlessly right now and you're going to be criticized. And the fact that people are going around and they're like, well, police officers are so corrupt and they're so racist. Keep in mind, there are 1 million police officers in the United States of America. 1 million. How many videos do you see where you're like, man, that video is crazy? Even if they're justified, right? We're just talking about all the videos that are online. How many you see? A couple a month, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
You see a couple a month. And I would say 90% to 95% of those videos are justified that come out. But say 100% of those videos are 100% not justified. Like, whoa, that's bad video. Every single one that comes out. There's still 1 million police officers who work day in and day out, all night long, 24/7 in the United States of America, even if every single one of those videos were bad, showed racism, showed corruption, that's nowhere near the amount of police officers that are in the country.
Nope, not at all.
So that don't even add up.
Not at all. Bro, I'm looking for this screenshot that Billy sent me. I thought you sent me that screenshot of what somebody said on one of our posts, and I was just like,
I'll look for it. I know what you're talking about.
You know exactly. Didn't you send it to me, Billy?
I think I sent it to both you guys.
Did you send it on DM? Bro,
I didn't see this. This should be good. This should be good.
Bruh.
I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, here, I found it.
Okay.
So
this is a comment to one of our videos.
Yeah, so I had a while back, I did a Tillman take on the San Diego police shooting, where essentially, and which by the way, it's almost at 500,000 views, which is crazy.
Nice.
So it essentially, long story short, San Diego PD arrests this guy for being under the influence. He's sitting in the backseat of the police car. He's handcuffed. Somehow he's able to break the plexiglass that separates him from the people in front, the drivers. And so in the cruiser. So as he's sitting there in the parking lot, mind you, there's nobody in the front seat. He's just sitting there while they're doing processing and stuff. He kicks that plexiglass out, one of the officers had a backup gun in their backpack in the front seat. So he's able to take the gun, and then when they realize that the dude is able to get out of his handcuffs, dude now has a gun in the back seat of that car. They open it up. He actually fires a round off.
Wow.
And then he's able to break the window, uses his arm to open up the back of that door, the back door. So now he's outside with a gun in his hand. So he ends up firing around. They shoot him a few times. Then they send the dog on him, and the dog bites him. Dude survives. They end up taking him back into custody and stuff like that. But, bro, somebody left a comment, bro. And this is just...
I think I know what you're talking about now that you said that.
Bro, oh, shoot. Hold on. I just lost. I got to find it again. It's right here. Somebody... I just can't get over how... I'm going to say it. People are just stupid, bro. Like, just... legitimately like stupid. There's no other word. There's no other word to describe it. I hate to use the word stupid, but people just sometimes are just stupid. This is what the comment says to that video. Dang, must be nice to be shot by the cops and live to talk about it. White privilege.
And I think I said, like, even surviving gunshot wounds is racist.
Yeah,
now.
it's like
you're racist bullets.
Bro. I just, bro.
Man.
I just can't wrap my head around it anymore. Must be nice to be shot by the police and survive to talk about it. White privilege. Yeah. So now, now the bullets are discriminating.
That's it. They were like, as soon as they got close, they realized the complexion of the skin and took a dip. Like, oh no.
The bullets was like, oh, is he black? Oh no, he's white. He's white. Well, let's miss the artery. Oh, is he black? Oh, let's make sure.
Red light.
Yeah. Oh, he's black. Let's make sure we hit the artery. Like, bro, people are just dumb, and it's as funny as it is. It's so dumb to me because I'm like, people don't even think before they talk. Like, they don't. And again, 100%. It goes back to what we were just saying is that people, it's just like they use police as a scapegoat. They use it as because it's popular to just say, oh, I don't like the police, F12, whatever it is, and not even really have any foundation to say it on, man. It's so
100%,
dumb.
100%. But I tell you what's refreshing for me. So Saturday, I found out that there's a young man. He's 17 years old. His name's Mark-Hale. Shout out to Mark-Hale if you're listening to this. And Mark-Hale, when we first had our protests and riots and demonstrations, whatever you want to call them, here in Central Ohio, what he did is he brought a grill down to headquarters and just cooked for hours and hours and hours to feed all the police officers who were getting pulled to Central Ohio, right? So he had burgers, he had bratwurst, he had hot dogs, and he was just handing them out for hours, right? So when he got done with that, he went to Cleveland and did the exact same thing. And I think to date, he's fed between 5,000 to 8,000 police officers, all right? And not that it should matter, but it does to people. Mark-Hale is a 17-year-old black male, okay? So keep that in mind.
Wow.
So he's been on the news. I mean, he's killing it. Here recently, he's been putting together these events, right? Like these Back to Blue events where he speaks. He brings in like guest speakers. And people have been blowing me up about this young man. Like, you have to meet him. He's doing great work. He's so well spoken. His heart is in it. He understands it. So I found out he was having an event near where I live. So I drove down, surprised him. And it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing that a 17-year-old kid could pull this event off with 300 to 400 people. I mean, there's trucks, there's motorcycles everywhere, there's music playing, he had guest speakers, and it was nothing but positivity, right? So I went from that event, which was extremely impactful. We had good conversations. I got to pull Mark-Hale aside and have like really good conversations with him about why he does what he does. I left that event and went to my man Ken's birthday party. Ken is a kid who me and Officer Hale met on duty. His mom called the police. Hey, somebody broke a car window out of my car. When we went there, we seen her kid playing in a sprinkler. He had socks on. We were like, hey, he's ruining his socks. Come to find out they were compression socks. Long story short, he ended up getting burnt by her ex-boyfriend. He dipped him in a tub full of like boiling hot water from the waist down, burnt him pretty bad, scarred him mentally. He wouldn't get in any body of water because he was so scarred mentally, and the only way he would get wet is a sprinkler. So that was how they bathed him. That was how they washed him, whatever. So we prayed over him that day. I asked if I could record a video just to get her message out there. Long story short, people started pouring in like, hey, we want to help you move. We want to get you in a house. That way it's not ground zero, because that's what she called it. She was like, this is ground zero. My kids hate it here. Her daughter's seen it happen. Her daughter's in counseling. We went to Ken's birthday party. The chief of police, all right, we're talking about the 14th largest city in the nation. The chief of police showed up on his day off. This is Saturday, in his own car, in plain clothes, just to come out and show support. So I shared those stories to inspire and motivate all the police officers out there. Like, listen, we have so much support out there. Like, don't fall for the trap. Like, there are going to be trolls online. There are going to be people out there who are trying to convince you that the world's against you because of what you're doing. Don't get me wrong. There are a good amount of people who don't like the police right now, who think the police are corrupt and racist and whatever, but it's nowhere near the majority. It's nowhere near the majority. And I'm telling you that based off of the weekend I had, because we were all over the city of Columbus, all over.
Man, that's good stuff. Support. And you know what's funny? It always seems like the negativity always rings louder than the positivity. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, like our Instagram account. Like, we get comments all the time. That San Diego video is still blowing up. And most of the comments we get are negative. But what's funny is that on that video, we have, it's 465,000 views on it.
Oh,
but on
Hollywood, tell me.
Yeah, right. That's nothing compared to an AJ video. But on that video, there's 12,000, almost 13,000 likes, and we've gotten 731 follows from that. The reason I bring up numbers and analytics is not because I'm trying to say, hey, look at us. But what I'm saying is that out of all the small majority people that leave these negative comments, 13,000 people actually thought it was a good video. 730 people thought it was a good enough video that made them want to follow. Out of all the negative comments I may get on my Instagram page, I have 62,000, almost 63,000 people that follow us that actually like the content that we put out. So I say that to say this, is that if you're one of those people that gets caught up on the negative stuff, then don't let that hinder you from going to where you want to go, because it always seems like the negative voices ring louder than the positive voices. Right. I guarantee you have a lot more positive voices than you do the negative voices. And so 100%. That was a lesson 100%. I had to learn early on. And so to AJ's point, when you talk about the positivity that law enforcement has and things like that, if you're one of those officers that's been getting discouraged and stuff like that, don't get discouraged. Stay positive, stay focused, because there's people that's still in your corner. And I want to shift gears really quickly here, and I want to humanize this a little bit more. So we always talk about how dangerous this job is. Like, we talk about how dangerous this job is all the time, but it's never so dangerous until it really hits close to home. And so last week, without getting into all the details of it, we had an officer-involved shooting at the department I work for, where one of my partners was shot at twice. Yeah, she showed up and she was looking for a stolen vehicle, and which mind you, the stolen vehicle that they were looking for, the guys that stole that vehicle had just carjacked somebody in Fontana, and so they shot that person too. So they shot the person in Fontana, and then we didn't know all this stuff at the time. So she pulled up, and as she pulled up, the guys look back and see her, and the dude literally takes a shooting stance and fires 2 rounds at her car as she pulls up, striking the vehicle. Luckily, she wasn't hit. But the reality of it is that could have been me. It could have been some of my other partners. And that partner of mine, she has a family. She has a husband. She has kids. And so we talk, and she's shaken up. She's safe, but she's shaken up. And so the reality is that this job that we go to, I'll be going to work. I've said this before. I'll be going to work here in about an hour. I'm going to be on patrol in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. That could easily happen to me. And so, the people that think that, we need to defund the police, we need to get rid of policing, like, there is a criminal element that exists that you are just so oblivious to, and you'll be oblivious to it until it affects you. And that's what's mind-boggling, is like, it's not important until it really affects you. And people can say all day long, well, I've been affected by police brutality, or I've been discriminated by police brutality, or I've been discriminated by police, I've been harassed by police. Like, so have I. I can say all day long, I've been harassed by police officers, I've been discriminated by police officers, but I'll take that over the person that tries to victimize me You know what I mean? Because of their selfish desire to want to go out and commit all these crimes. Like, I'll take being a victim of some officer harassing me, and I'm not saying it's right, so I don't want you to get confused with what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that an officer disrespecting you or harassing you is okay, but what I am saying is I'll take that over the person that's going to go out there and victimize a whole town because they have a desire to go out and steal cars and break into your house and kill people. I'll take being the victim of police, disrespect or whatever it is, well over somebody that wants to criminalize me. And I remember, I'll never forget, I went to a city council meeting probably about 4 or 5 months back. And at this city council meeting, there was a girl in the crowd that legitimately said, and she was serious as ever, she was like, I would rather somebody break into my house than to call the police to respond to take care of me. I'm like, again, going back to, do you know how stupid you sound right now? Again, going back to that, and I hate saying it, but I'm gonna say it. Do you know how dumb you sound right now? You would rather somebody break into your house before calling the police to show up to help you out? Yeah, like, that just sounds ignorant.
I was actually marching downtown. Like when all this like first popped off, like I was down there just like interacting with people, trying to, figure out what was going on, what were people feeling and whatnot. And this woman grabbed the megaphone, and the first words out of her mouth were, I envision a world without police. And I was just like,
and everybody cheered,
I don't know. I don't know if you ready for that. Like, there are don't get me wrong, there are gonna be people who survive and thrive in that world.
I'll be one of them.
I don't think it's gonna be you.
Yeah.
I just put it out there. I don't think it's gonna be you, right? And I don't think it's gonna be a lot of people who think that way. And even the people who say that, they honestly don't believe that. I mean, we seen that when the guy got shot, the anti-police guy, he got shot and he was screaming, call the police, call the police.
Oh yeah.
That's a prime example. Like, you don't believe that. You're just saying it one of two reasons. One, because it's the cool thing to do. Two, because you want somebody to blame. Those are your one or two reasons. You don't believe it. I guarantee you don't believe that. And it's crazy because law enforcement is such a powerful tool that people just want to dismantle. There are homicide records that are being shattered nationwide. Nationwide, homicide records are being shattered. And you know who has the power to stop that? Law enforcement. But right now we live in a world where law enforcement seems to have no support. So what's happening? Police officers are like, look, I'm not really going to go out here and be proactive because really that's my choice as a police officer. If I want to go out here and pull over 10 cars and try to get guns and dope, a lot of police officers are like, look, I'm not going to go out of my way to do that because police officers are being prosecuted and crucified for doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And I don't want to risk losing my job or ending up in prison and then my family suffers because of it. And I'll be honest with you, I can't blame them for that mindset. But then in return, what happens? The criminals, right? The drug dealers, the killers, the rapists, the drug users who want to break in houses to get money in order to get money to buy more drugs. They see the lack of police presence and they bump their activity up, right? And they might commit a crime, right? Like, well, I shot somebody, I got away with it. I broke in a house, I got away with it. And it continues to go higher and higher and higher and higher. And it puts us in the situation that we're in today. Because we have politicians
no doubt about it,
who would rather point fingers at people who work for them when they have the opportunity and power to make the change they're preaching about. So think about that. Every time you see a mayor, anytime you see somebody in a political position saying that we need this, we need that, the chances that they have the opportunity and power to create that change is astronomically high. So don't fall for the trap. I'm telling you right now, don't fall for the trap. I have good friends who are police officers in major cities throughout this nation, and they're all saying the same thing. Man, our mayor was on TV the other day saying how our department is so corrupt and racist, and he doesn't support us, and he wants to make an example out of an officer. Can you blame those officers for not wanting to go out and do these things when that's how they supply for their family? Man. No, not when they're not obligated to. They're going to sit in their cruiser and collect their paycheck. If somebody calls 911, they're going to respond accordingly. As soon as they get done, they're going to go back to the substation or they're going to sit in their cruiser somewhere. And you can't blame them for that. And if you can, and you're the same one talking about defunding the police, then you're contradicting yourself right now. You're contradicting yourself right now. Because if you truly care about defunding the police and getting rid of the police, then you would be happy that the police aren't policing right now. And that's where my mind is boggled right now, because I've had this dialogue with a lot of people, right, who don't support the police. And that's cool. I love having that dialogue because you learn, right? Like the point of a dialogue is to learn from each other. I've had this conversation with a lot of people who don't support the police. And then when they find out why the homicide records are so high, why the violent crime stats are so high, why houses are getting broken into, cars are getting broken into, and everything else that's going on that's super chaotic, they're like, well, why aren't the cops policing? And it's like, you're contradicting yourself. Like, in one sense, you're saying, like, I don't want the cops. And then you find out that cops aren't working for what I would say is a good reason. And then you're upset about that. Pick one. Pick one. And that just goes to show you are not ready for a world where there aren't police officers. Because there are still thousands of murders that are being prevented, thousands of rapes, thousands of B&Es, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of crimes that are being prevented just by police officers' presence. Right now.
It's called deterrent. It's called deterrent crime. AJ over here preaching. You had Billy over here like dude, Billy was in church.
How do we let politicians get away with such crappy leadership? Like how he's blaming the officers. Like, I don't know if you guys listen to Jocko, but extreme ownership. Like if you're in charge,
I read that book,
and your subordinate makes a mistake, as the leader, you can be like, you know what? I could have communicated better. I could have checked in, make sure they understood the mission. How can your mayor sit there and point fingers? And when he's in charge, he can be meeting with the chief of police weekly. He could have been meeting with the officers. Like, all they care about is winning. I want to hear someone talk about how they're going to help us. Like, I'm here paying rent, and you're there pointing at each other.
When you pointing fingers at the hairdresser, the hair owner, because she let you into her shop and says she set you
Don't
up.
bring up Nancy Pelosi, man. Don't bring up Nancy Pelosi.
Hey, Billy getting mad. Billy getting mad over here.
Look, this is the real frustrating part for me, right? Central Ohio is on pace to shatter the homicide record, meaning the highest number of homicides in the history of the city. The history of the city. I'm not talking within the past 5 years. In the history, on pace to shatter that record. And it's easy for politicians, and it's easy for people who are in power to stand in front of a bunch of cameras and give a speech and blame, well, you know, COVID really took a hit, and that has these violent crimes up, or, you know, police officers are really to blame here. But while you're pointing fingers, these might just be numbers to you, but these police officers have rapport and relationships with these people in these communities who are losing their lives, and their quality of life is being sacrificed, all because you have a political agenda. All because you want to pander to the people, because you want to move up to the next level. Maybe you're in city council and you got your eyes on being the mayor, and you're ready to throw whoever under the bus because you want to stand on a platform and say, I care about black people. No, you don't. You care about black votes. Stop lying to the people. Stop lying to the people, because the people are dying now. The people are dying. The same people that you say you care about are dying and are afraid to send their kids out their front doors to play with neighborhood kids because they're getting shot in drive-bys, which tells me you don't care about the people, because if you did, you would be out there arm in arm with the police trying to figure out a way to fix this.
Yep.
And it pisses me off more than belief, because I get text messages every single week by community members who are asking me, why aren't the police out here? Well, the police aren't welcome out there. Your mayor, your city council member, your whoever in power, whether it's the governor, whoever, doesn't want the police out there right now. There have been major city people who are in positions of power, politicians and whatever, who have flat out told the police, don't go out here and make traffic stops. So then what happens? I'm riding around with an AK because I know I'm not going to get stopped. I got 3 kilos of fentanyl in the trunk because I know I'm not going to get stopped. And if I cross paths with you, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get what you want, or get what you have that I want. And that's why we have these numbers.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to interrupt our podcast episode briefly to highlight our podcast sponsor, which is Thinline Anthem. When you guys support them, it supports us, and they are a phenomenal business that is created by first responders for first responders to promote health and wellness. And so I take their products. My wife takes their products. I'm feeling a lot better. I've actually lost some weight, and I'm actually gaining strength in the gym. So if you guys want to start that journey to health and wellness, make sure you guys subscribe to Thinline Anthem products. Go on to thinlineanthem.com. Utilize promo code It's Needed. All caps, no spaces. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of this episode. I think what's sad too is that a lot of the people that are the true victims of these that live in these neighborhoods.
Yes.
Has anybody went to go talk to them? Because
the police.
And that's the funny thing is because if you actually talk to them, you're probably going to hear an opposite narrative than what's the vocal majority on TV or whatever you want to hear. 100%. Like all the people that have issues are the ones that, like I said before, aren't affected by it. Yes, you're not being affected by police brutality, but yet you speak on police brutality. You're not the one being affected by, homicides in the neighborhood, but yet you speak on what's not being done in the neighborhood. You know, we have politicians that say, oh, well, I want to reduce gun violence. I want to reduce the homicide rate. But yet you go back to your nice and pretty neighborhood. Not to say that there's not to say it's knock on you for living in a nice neighborhood, because everybody should want to strive to be and live nice. But the thing is that what are you doing to pour out and to understand what those neighborhoods are going through? Are you out there walking the streets like your chief of police is on his day off in his plain clothes to get a pulse of what's going on in the neighborhood? Can't nobody, one of the things that's funny is, nobody can come and tell me that I don't pour into my community. Like if somebody tried to ever try to say that Ryan doesn't pour into his community, they'd be lying through their teeth. And I have the track record to back it up. I have the evidence. You can go out there today and you can leave me at home and go out to my community with me being at home and go out there and just try to figure out if people know Ryan Tillman in the community. And believe it or not, it's not just because of Instagram. It's not because of Facebook. It's not because of news articles. It's because I'm out there every single day getting to know people in the community. Yesterday I was on a call for service where we surrounded this house because the guy inside, we had a knowledge that he had just committed a assault with a deadly weapon about 3 or 4 days prior. So his sister is outside. Mind you, we got the house surrounded. We got our guns out. Got a freaking Bearcat out there. And when it's all said and done, his sister's like, "Oh yeah, you're Officer Tillman, huh? Yeah, my such and such. Oh yeah, how are you doing?" And I'm vibing with the sister, the guy we just took into custody. And so that doesn't happen because, like I've said before, because I danced at a school. It happens because I'm out there every single day, just getting to know people on a regular traffic stop. If I go and it's as simple as this. I don't go out, and I want people to know I don't go out of my way to do this stuff. So if you guys think that I go out of my way to go and meet all these people in the community, I don't. What I do is I go back to how I was raised, and I go back to the old school mentality is when I'm out and about doing stuff, if I see somebody out, then I'm going to say hi to them. When I walk into 7-Eleven every single day to get my pistachios, hey, how you guys doing?
Pistachios.
Yeah, I get it every single.
I can't let that one slide.
I'm eating pistachio. That's my healthy snack right now, y'all. And don't.
Ryan got money. Pistachios are expensive, y'all.
Hey, don't let me forget the hero of the week, because I'm gonna tell you guys who the hero of the week is in a minute. But so when I go in there, I look at the name badge. I see who's working. I call them by their name. We start talking. How you doing? You just coming in today? What time is your shift over? How are you doing? Just little things like that. I do that every place I go, everywhere I go. And over time, what starts to happen is I start to plant these little seeds that then sprout. And then one day I actually need them, or one day they actually need me, and they know who to come to, or I know who to go to. And so we've actually reached a resolution a lot faster just because I sowed the seed 6-7 months ago with this person. And so I want people to realize that this is not just a police thing that we should be doing. This is everybody should be doing this. If you're a politician, you shouldn't just be in the streets during election season. You should be in the streets when there is no election season. You shouldn't just be Monday through Friday. If you're a doctor, you shouldn't just be talking to these people when you're in the operating room. You should be talking to them outside of the operating room, talking about these are ways to prevent yourself from coming to the operation room. Teachers, you name it. You can go down the list. Every single one has an obligation as a member of society to contribute to society. And by doing that, that means you need to go out of your way to talk to people. And that's what makes me so angry with stuff. So I guess here's my question is this. My question is, how do we get people, because I don't know if it was 2020 where this term just really just caught fire, but the term woke just caught fire in 2020, and everybody throws it around. Oh man, you ain't really woke. Oh, folks ain't really woke. But the reality is most people aren't. Most people aren't. 100%. And 100%. What irritates me is that, I'll see somebody make a post. Like I saw one of my buddies make a post this morning. Good guy. we're on polar opposite as far as our viewpoints. But somebody said something to the liking of what he liked. So his comment was, see, I've been saying this for years. And so what I realized and what I start to think about is like that person that he's listening to could be saying something that's completely false. But because it's in line with what he said, he now found affirmation that's just only in his mind affirms what he was already saying for years. And now he knows that as truth, which it can be completely false. And so what we've gotten to a place in society where we've gotten away from looking for factual information from the actual source. And we look for those that are actually going to say something that's in tune with what I'm saying. And now I take that as fact because it lines up with what I said.
You know what I think happened? I think that we as a society at some point began to coddle and overprotect our children, right? Whether or not it was because you seen something, because you heard something, I think we as a society at some point a while ago began to do that. That generation grew up and are now young adults, young professionals, who don't know what it's like to do two things. One, face opposition, whether the opposition is right or whether the opposition is wrong. Two, to think on both sides, right? We have a generation of people who don't know what it's like to put your shoe in the other foot and to take a couple steps, or to put your shoe in the other shoe. Put your foot in the other shoe and take a couple steps. And now, because that happened, we're in this world right now, right? Where people are extremely entitled. They don't know what it's like to step back and go, well, what is it like to be a police officer? You know, what is your training like? And why did you do that? And they don't have the time to want to do it, right? Because they're used to getting what they want when they want it. They got their whole world in their hand right here on an iPhone or Android, if you know, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we took the turn. But the concerning part for me is, how do we recover? Because that generation, and I'm not saying that's everybody in the generation. I'm just saying, it's a handful of people. It might be more than half. I don't know. But those people in that generation, to be even more specific, will eventually reach an age or end up in a position of power. So now they're making decisions, which is even scarier, right? Because right now they're just leaving the comforts of their, suburban home with zero negative experience in law enforcement to go into the city to protest. But 5 to 10 years from now, they might be the mayor. They might be in city council. So that's concerning for me. But I think that's why the work that we do is so important. And I'm not just saying the work that we do on this podcast, but the work that you do listening and watching this. Because the fact that you listen and watching to this says a lot about you. It says that you want to learn, right? You want to hear these conversations and these dialogues, to take some information to go back into your community. And we've had conversations with a lot of our listeners who have asked questions like, well, what do you recommend? How do I go about doing that? So it says a lot about who you are. So I'm talking to you as well, because they could say all they want. That small group of people who have the megaphone right now, who seem to be controlling the narrative, can say all they want. But as long as what they're saying is being combated by our actions, they'll never win.
Yep.
They'll never win.
Yep. The
police are this, the police are that. And every time you turn around, you see the police doing something dope, right? Like, we out here playing curveball with the kids, playing basketball. We got chiefs of police showing up in the inner city, right? Like, not just a neighborhood. I'm talking about in the inner city where people get killed on his day off in normal clothes with no vest, none of that, just to hang out and show support. If we continue to do that, and I know it's hard right now, trust me. I know I'm not at work. I've had plenty of conversations with my colleagues and people from across the nation. I know it's hard right now, but now's the time. Now is the time that you should really be like killing it. Like, if you didn't do it before, start now. If you were already doing it, turn the heat up. Turn the heat up. They hate to see that because they can't say anything to combat it.
Yep.
Because no matter what they say, people are going to look at your actions and go, well, that's not lining up. You're
Yep.
lying.
Yep.
You're lying, and they're going to see through that facade. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a handful of people who are just taking whatever that person says is gold, right? Those are the sheep in the world. Don't value the opinion of a sheep. Just don't. Don't
Yep.
waste your time getting worked up about it. But continue to do the right thing. This is our time. This is our year to show the world what we're really about. Through opposition, through persecution, through assaults, through people shooting at us, through us getting killed. Like, now is the time for us to really show the world who we are.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm not saying go out and be no punk, right? I'm not saying go out and just let people hit you with stuff. Be the police. Be the police. If you know Ryan and you know myself, we're going to be the police when it's time to be the police. But when it's not, be cool, be calm, go out into the community, talk to some people.
It's funny, man. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just making a joke with my boss last night, and I've coined the term professional butt whooping. and the reason I say that, because every time I'm getting ready to put hands on somebody, like, you kind of get ready to know, because I get like real, like yesterday we had this dude that was he was 5150, and for us 5150 means like we got to take you on a 72-hour mental health evaluation. And so, he was like, I ain't going nowhere with y'all. He's yelling and stuff. I ain't going nowhere with y'all. So then in my mind, anytime I'm getting ready to use force, I take it down to like a real low professional level. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm about to go ham on this dude. But I start casually putting on my mask. I'm like, hey sir, can you do me a favor? Just go ahead and sit up on the couch. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Taking his rings off.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm like, hey sir, do me a favor. Just go ahead and put your hand. I ain't going nowhere with y'all. Y'all ain't taking me nowhere. Okay, hey sir, do me a favor. I just want you to know, man. Hey, if you don't cooperate, man, force is going to be able to be used against you. All right. And so I'm like, putting my mask on, make sure just in case he try to start spit at me in the face. Yep. So I'm like, hey, do me a favor, turn around, bro. So he's like, no, I have. So I grab him up real quick. But the funny thing is, I'm all professional about it. I'm like, man, I'm gonna swoop you up so quick. So I call it a professional butt whooping. But I don't know why.
I would tell people, I tell people like, hey, look, you don't want this.
Oh yeah, I tell people too.
Like trust me when I say this, like. You want to turn around and put your hands behind your back, because if I have to turn you around and put your hands behind your back, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like
fighting
it,
fair,
right?
bro. I always tell people too. I'm like, look, don't be surprised. Like, we cool now. I always tell them, we cool now. But don't be surprised when this end foul and you're going to be like, well, why you just do that to me?
Yeah, I want to hear none of that.
I'm giving you a chance right now, so do me a favor.
I asked you. I told you.
I'm about to make you. Now I'm about to make you.
It's not going to be pretty.
I'm trying to let you know now. You don't want the smoke, bro. You don't want the smoke.
It's about
to go down. So what I want to do briefly, guys, is I want to do something different for our listeners. We'll start with AJ and then Billy, and then I'll end it up. But I want you guys to give us maybe 3 things that our audience can do that can help them with personal development. So what are 3 things that you do? What are 3 things that Billy do? What are things that I do? Because we always talk about, being woke or doing this or doing that and going out. Like what are 3 things that our audience can, if we each give 3, then that's 9 things that they can do and start to implement in their personal lives to better themselves. You know what I mean? And so I'll start with you, AJ, and then I'll go to Billy, and then I'll end it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you 3 things that I do every single day that have helped me become successful in the field of building relationships, being a community police officer, but still being firm when I have to. And those 3 things are this, is you have to start your day right. You absolutely have to start your day right. There's all sorts of research and studies that the first 15 to 20 minutes will control how the rest of your day goes. So if you wake up and you got somebody yelling at you, it's going to mess your whole day up. So what I do is I have a routine. I wake up, I don't touch my phone for 15 to 20 minutes. I'll turn my TV on to like a motivational speech. I'll let it play. And on YouTube, there's all sorts of free motivational speech. Get on Breaking Barriers YouTube, listen to what he's doing. You name it, right? Just something positive and educational. And what that does is it will redirect how your day is going to go, right? Because you'll wake up motivated. Okay, I got to go out here. I got to get it. Okay, so now you're motivated. Use that motivation to have conversations with people throughout the day. And I'm not talking about conversations with your colleagues, conversations with your friends. I'm talking about go outside of your comfort zone and have a conversation with somebody who doesn't look like you, somebody whose religion isn't what yours is, somebody who doesn't live in the same area as you. Have a conversation with the criminal, right? Like if there's a drug dealer who stands on the corner and sells drugs every single day, get out the car and talk to him. That will scare the criminal by itself. You get out the car and start talking to a drug dealer like it's a normal day. He will not be back out there for a week. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. But you might learn something. You might talk to that drug dealer and he might just open up like, look, man, I don't want to be out here, but I got 3 kids at the house and I'm a single dad. And I'm not saying that it's going to justify what he's doing, but it might help put things in a perspective on what's going on in the community that you serve. And then you might be able to figure out different ways to help out. The third thing is you have to execute. You absolutely have to execute. It's one thing to come up with these good ideas. I want to go out and I want to play basketball and I want to go to Walmart and buy a bunch of basketballs and give them to kids who are playing basketball with like worn out balls, right? Or I want to buy a hoop and bring. Execute. Execute. There are too many talkers and not enough doers. And I'm telling you, if you do these 3 things, your life will change, not only professionally, but personally. You'll be in a better mood outside of work and inside of work, and you'll become successful in whatever aspect of your job you want to be successful in. You know why? Because you're motivated. You woke up motivated. That's a big deterrent for a lot of people, right? You're not motivated to go out here and do something. You wake up on the right side of the bed. You start doing chores immediately. As soon as you get up, make your bed. Boom. First thing's done for the day. All right. Boom. Do another chore. Before you know it, you're going to have all this stuff done. You're motivated. Now you're going out and you're having a conversation. And you know what happens when you have these conversations? You learn. You learn from people. I never knew that your religion was like that. Tell me more. I never knew that it was that hard being a minority, that you had to face these things. Tell me more. For the community members listening to this, I never knew that being a police officer was so hard mentally and physically and so stressful. Tell me more. You learn more. And then what happens is you become compassionate. And then when you start to execute on these things that you come up with, these solutions that you come up with to help solve the issues that you now know from having these conversations, you're going to be motivated and you're going to execute.
I love it.
It'll help you out so much.
Billy, what you got, bro?
All right. So my 3 things that we do for self-development, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, all the things I'm going to mention, I don't do perfectly. I'm still, it's always working on it. But for me, being a Christian, starting my day, prayer and a devotion or an audio sermon.
Nice.
So I got to start my day just, Lord, I can't do anything without you, so please help me. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm doing without you. Second, exercise. I think it affects just every aspect of your life, and it just makes you feel better. You get these little wins that just make you, I earned that, mm-hmm. and no one can take that from me. Mm-hmm. And the third, honestly, I listen to podcasts. So I listen to people I look up to. I listen to people that I don't agree with, and that helps me think through, okay, why don't I believe that? And then why do I believe what I believe? So you kind of have to test yourself that you're not just, oh yeah, I believe that because I heard it once. Like you need to think it through. So those are the 3 things.
I love that. Those are good. I think for me, first, cause similar to Billy, is I always try to start my day in the Word, even if it's a one-liner, a devotion, or even just in prayer. Always just start in the Word. And my prayer usually is something like, hey, God, go before me today. Thank you for giving me this day. Allow me to go out there and be used by you. Allow people to see you, not me. And allow me to continue to share this light, your light, to this dark world. So that's usually kind of what my prayer is in the morning. Second of all, I think one of the things that I've always conditioned myself is to push through. And this is what I mean by push through. When I work out, or when I'm running, when I'm on the treadmill, I'll give you an example. Last week, I was running 2 miles, and my Achilles tendon was just killing me. And I've always had this mindset though that I'm not gonna stop. Always, and I started that at a young age when I was working out. No matter how bad it hurt, no matter how much I was tired, I always had this mindset that I was gonna push through. No matter what, even if it meant me slowing down a little bit, but I was always going to push through. And I think what that helped me throughout life develop was this mentality that I'm not going to stop. So my wife will tell you I'm a very busy dude from the moment I wake up. I literally got off of work last night at midnight. I did go golfing this morning. I do golf, and that's another thing. Find things in your life that you can use as your outlet, and so golf is an outlet for me. And so you need to do those things because that's actually going to help with your psychological standpoint. But anyways, I'm a very busy dude, and so usually my days are scheduled to the hour or the minute. And so I can sit here and look, and a lot of times we've all been there before where you that procrastination syndrome. You look at all the stuff that you got to do and just make you feel like you want to go to sleep. And so you don't want to hit nothing. I always just hit one thing and then the next and then the next and then the next and then the next. Next thing I know, I got a full day. So starting the day in the Word. The next thing I do is I push through all, and that could also mean adversity. So pushing through adversity, whatever it may be, because you start to develop that winner's mindset. And then the last thing is I always have this competition. Now, these are just 3 things that I do, but I do a lot more than just these 3 things that I'm mentioning. You guys actually both touched on a lot of the things I also do as well. And so I wanted to give you guys something a little bit different than they gave you. But the third thing is I want you guys to understand the difference between great and average is just a little bit. And so this is what I mean by that. I think a lot of times we associate the person that's just great or extraordinary as just some person that puts in massive amounts of time, which to some extent that's true. But if you really think about it, the only difference is a little bit. And so again, going back to the working out, using that as an example, every time I'm working out, if I say, hey, I'm going to do 8 reps, when I get to 8 reps, I do one more. I'll do 9. I always used to tell my wife, we work out, tell my partners, hey, one more for the good. So it's always at building that habit of going the extra mile, of doing one more of everything. And over time, what happens is you start to realize that you ended up looking at like extraordinary because everybody else, your average competition was either doing 8 or they were doing 7 or they were doing 6. So if your competition is doing 6, 7, and 8, and 8 was the number that they set out, and you do 9, you didn't do much more, but you did more than everybody else. And so that actually creates for an extraordinary lifestyle, and that's kind of how I approach life. And so I associate that to even when I'm talking to people on the street. I'm like, well, if my partner, like if me and AJ are out there and AJ's nice to this lady, well, I'm going to be nicer. You know what I mean? Or, if they did this, well, I'm going to do this. It's kind of that one-up mentality almost. And I hate to say it as a one-up mentality, but that one-up mentality is very, very good in many ways because it pushes you further than you would have gotten if you would have went with the crowd. And so those are 3 things that I do for self-development. I did not include, I read a lot of books. So I read books of people that I may not actually agree with. I listen to a lot of podcasts like Billy said. And I also listen to people. This is the last thing I'm going to end on. I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. I have a lot of friends that are like super, super different mindset from a political standpoint that I am. Like way opposite ends of the spectrum. We don't even talk politics, but I know how they are. I know and I've heard them before. Very opposite ends of the spectrum, but we're very good friends. And my point in bringing that up is that I don't let my political affiliation, I don't let my faith in Christ, I don't let my difference in opinions clout the relationship that I could have with somebody from the opposite end of the spectrum. So another way that you can develop as a person is getting to know people that are different from you. That doesn't necessarily mean you compromise and you compromise your own values and morals, but it means that you don't necessarily have this huge wedge between you two because you guys see things from a different lens. And so that's another way I've always developed myself, is not allowing political affiliations, religious beliefs, or anything to cloud my relationship with a person just because we see it differently than each other.
No, that's good. So somebody asked Arnold Schwarzenegger one time, like, how many push-ups do you do? And his response was, well, I don't know, because I don't start counting until it hurts. And that's that mindset, right? Like, that's what separates good from great. He's like, I don't know, because I don't start counting until it hurts. To where everybody else is like, I'm going to just do 10, 25. He might do 10, 25, and he's like, yeah. I'm at 0. I got to do 10 now. So that's you're absolutely right. Like that one-up mentality, and not a one-up mentality like, some of the people that walk around with that, but like that mentality where you're just like, I got to do more. I have to do more. I have to be better. That's it right there.
Yeah, it will get stuff. It will get you to a place where I mean, me and Billy, just before we got on this podcast today, we were talking about something, and I've talked to you, AJ, about some of the opportunities that have come my way. And honestly, if I would have quit when people start talking about BBU, if I would have quit because people got in my comment section, excuse me, if I would have quit because, man, my allergies are terrible.
Coronavirus.
If I would have quit because people got in my comment section and started saying all these crazy things, if I would have quit because somebody said F12, if I would have quit because somebody said you can't, if I would have quit because somebody told me I was black, if I would have quit because somebody said that you're not capable of doing it because you're not big enough, if I would have quit because somebody said you're not fast enough, I would have never reached where I'm at right now. And the crazy part is I'm just beginning. Some of these opportunities that are come my way, like I was talking to people in this industry I'm getting ready to go into, and people that have been in the industry for years are like, bro, what's going on? What's happening for you right now doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. But that didn't happen by accident though. One, it happened because I have a faith in Christ. Two, it happened because I have an unrelentless mentality. I have a relentless mentality that's just like, I'm not going to stop. And so that consistency that you, me, Billy, all of us have put in for the last years, day in, day out, that stuff is finally starting to take fruition. And now we're starting to see the fruits of those labors. So
yeah. And one more thing I got to touch on, you know, this is my jam. We could go back and forth about this all day, is you have to be thankful.
Yes.
It's hard to be negative and thankful at the same time. I would say it's impossible, really. So if you wake up today and you're like, thank God I'm alive. Thank God I woke up. Thank God I have a roof. I tell kids all the time, there's 3 things that most of us have that a lot of people in the world would kill for. You have a roof over your head, you got food in the refrigerator, and you got clothes on your back. If you got those 3 things, those are 3 things that a lot of people in this world would kill for. Just one of them. They would kill to have food. They would kill to have a roof over their head. They would kill to have clothes on their back. And most of us have all 3. So if you're listening to this and you have all 3 of those things, you have a lot to be thankful for. And if you remind yourself that every single day, it's going to be hard for the negativity to get in your mind.
Boom.
It's going to be hard.
Boom. There it is. So I got to, before we cut out on this week's episode, I got the MVP of the week. So MVP of the week goes to my oldest son, Grayson. And here's why. So here's why Grayson gets the MVP of the week. So last week, we had that critical incident in Chino where my partner got shot at. So my phone was ringing early in the morning, like 6:37. My sergeant was like, "Hey, we're calling you in. You might be called in for crisis negotiation." So I'm like, "No problem." Pick up my phone. I'm like, "Got to take a shower. Go take a shower or whatever." And so as I get out to shower, Grayson walks into the bathroom, and so I got my towel on, and my son is looking at me, and he's like, starts pointing at his stomach. I'm like, "What's wrong?" And he's like pointing at his stomach, and I'm like, "Gray, what's wrong?" He's like, "Daddy, have you been working out?" I was like,
let's go.
I said, "Hey." I said, "Thinline Anthem, son. Thinline Anthem. You darn right.
Right.
You darn right. I was like, "You know what, son? I was just getting ready to stop working out, but because you said that, I'm gonna keep going." So, the MVP of the week goes, shout out to my son Grayson. He recognized his daddy's gains. I've been eating, me and my wifey, we've been on it. Wifey looking good too. And what's funny about my wife, I love my wife dearly. She always says like, "You're just so like," she was like, "You always talk, you sweet talk everybody. So when you sweet talk me, I don't believe it." But I'm like, boo. I was like, my wife, I always tell my wife, because this is a true statement. I always tell my beautiful wife, I say, "Baby, I married you because you look beautiful without makeup." And that's still true to this day. And so even though she thinks I sweet talk everybody, I don't sweet talk nobody like I sweet talk her. And so shout out to my boo-boo out there.
You got that ring on your finger, girl. You better quit playing.
Yeah, hey, she looking nice too. She been, hey, don't think, hey, I've been peep you out, boo. We got to do some grown man gifts. So get some grown man gifts going on.
Baby number 18
on the way. No. We're not doing that. But I definitely definitely want a grown man gift. But man, yeah. So shout out to my boo. She's been putting in that work. She's been on Thinline Anthem products as well. She's been taking a lot of the vitamins and supplements that they have. I have as well. It's got me actually feeling great. So not only, but here on to that note though, I do want to tell you guys this, since we're talking about self-development before we wrap it up. Don't just think that you guys can take supplements and think that that's the end all be all. You know, we have those that will take supplements and be like, oh man, I feel great. No, you got to put in the work too. So one of the things that I've dodged for so long, which I've actually been adamant about doing it, is I've also changed up my diet as well. So, you know, throughout the week, what I'm doing is I'm eating either chicken, broccoli, and sweet potatoes, or salmon, broccoli, and sweet potatoes. And me and my wife will eat that, you know, throughout the week. And I still go to Chipotle. But when I go to Chipotle, I don't hit them with the extras. I don't hit them with the sour cream. I don't hit them with, you know, the crazy amounts of cheese. I usually just, you know, keep it basic. I don't hit it with a tortilla. I don't do that, even though I want to, just the basics. But and then on Saturday, what we do, that's our cheat day. So that's our cheesecake day, where I cruise over to the Cheesecake Factory and I get my cheesecake on. But I bring that up because I want you guys to know is you guys got to put in the extra work as well, outside of just taking supplements and things like that. You got to get that health right. So, you know, this is a good self-development podcast. And so along the lines, like Billy said, working out, exercise are very, very key to your personal health and your personal development. So keep those going. So any last parting words before we end it, fellas?
Put that work in. Put that work in.
Put that work in. Billy, what you got?
Have a great week.
Billy just gave the thumbs up.
Hey, have a great week.
I love how we mock Billy. One of these days, Billy's just gonna snap on us, bro.
You guys make me like a cartoon character.
Billy's just gonna snap one day. So, hey guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Hey, continue to leave those 5-star reviews, those 5-star ratings.
Please.
It bumps us to the top of the charts. We are going up rapidly, and that's only because of you. So don't just leave the rating. Also leave a review. We love to read those reviews, and we love to talk about all the next podcast. So with that, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.